Well, welcome everybody to another awesome interview or chat, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of more become a chat than anything else, and I'm kind of digging it. And we have this awesome gal named Amy Sinha. Awesome. We pretty much at a certain point, I do say I'm going to cut something out, but I couldn't really find a point where the conversation was just so fluid. So for beginning part might seem a little chunky. Wait for it. We get into some fun stuff. And like I mentioned many times before, if you like what you're hearing, please feel free to rate and review on whatever. If you do happen to rate and review on Apple, be sure to write a review because I will see it and I will actually post it on my podcast site forever for everyone to see it. And even if you say that thing that about that one guy doing the one thing, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the thing. It will be there forever and I'm not going to delete it. So, well, as long as I pay my bills. Speaking of which, advertisers, I know you're listening. Sponsorship people, go to my website. There is a contact me tab. In that contact me tab, there is advertising. Wow. Really thought that one through, huh? Hit me up. Tell me what you're thinking and the project and let's work it out. Let's go from there. All right. I'm talking too long. Let's get right into this. It's going to be fun.
Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
That's really weird.
I know, it's a terrifying lady. So how's everything going on your end?
Yeah, it's good. How about you?
Pretty good. I got 2 days off in a row, so can't complain.
Well done. Yes, well, the weekend was good. Waiting for the next one.
Anything fun and eventful around your area?
Well, things with COVID is starting to ease up. So
they're realizing no choice, we just got to.
Yeah, well, the Omicron is kind of, we started, I think, two weeks before you. So it's kind of coming to going down now. So fingers crossed there's no more variants that freak everyone out.
Yeah, I heard there's a French one, but it's just like a more violent of the Omicron. So I'm hoping that doesn't do anything.
Well, we've had the vaccine. I know there's a lot of people haven't had the vaccine yet, but the vaccine is seeming to actually hold. Yeah, quite effective.
That's good. Yeah, I got it. I was wanting to go to the EU, like Italy and Greece area. And they were like, during 2020, like, well, you have to be vaccinated. I'm like, okay, their country, their rules.
I know. A lot of people just don't like the rules. So they're like, well, don't come to the country then.
Yeah, or it's going to be really awkward explaining to the cops.
I know. Well, it's like Australia, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Did you hear about how they were snitching on people for taking out their trash?
No, I didn't hear that. What was that?
So they had like a curfew at like 6 p.m. Australian time. And this one person literally went out to drop off his trash at 6:05. And the cop showed up 15 minutes later.
No way.
The neighbors literally snitched on him. Like, dude, that's just taking out the trash, man.
Oh my God. That's awful. Australia, really tough. They've gone a bit too far, I think.
Little extreme.
Yeah, a little extreme.
So I was actually listening up on some of the episodes you've been on.
Oh, quite a lot.
I'm like, what is she going to be like? Hey, am I actually going to be able to work with her? And my God, you're awesome. Just so you know.
Oh, thank you. That's pretty nice.
So I was like, let's just get right into it. I'll cut all that out. Tell me a little about yourself.
About myself. Yeah. So, gosh, where do I start? So I'm a voiceover artist now.
Okay.
But I was a singer for most of my life, probably when I started singing at the age of, I say at the age of 6, because that's the first time that I performed in public, but it was way before that. But to be honest with you, I've been singing ever since. But I went on to study it for a degree at Leeds College. It's called the Conservatoire now. And so I joined loads of bands. I did a lot of gigging around, a lot of live performing. I joined as a group called Women in Jazz, where it's just solely women. I think they've got one in America as well. I think it's in New York. I might be wrong, but
I don't know.
they're quite popular there. And then I joined a lot of other bands, predominantly jazz, but then I wanted to sing other stuff as well.
Okay.
So I wanted to do soul. I love soul and funk and just good pop. I say good pop because there are certain songs that I like. And then I went on to record my own album. And then I put it out there, and I guess that's when it took me to the next level, putting my own music out there, and it caught the attention of this small record label in New York, and we collaborated, and then I did a couple of jazz singles with them. It was called Half Play Records, so that was amazing. And then I kind of sidestepped away from jazz, and I released a couple of country rock songs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What inspired you to go from jazz to country rock?
I think there's quite a close correlation to jazz and country. In effect, I mean, it all started out like that, didn't it? You got blues, you got so you got blues, you got jazz, you got country. I mean, look at Ray Charles. He started off in blues, then he went on to country. He did a bit of jazz though. It's all intertwined. So, but I think they've got a lot of storytelling in all of it, especially blues, jazz, and country. They're all about telling a story about what's going on in their life. And I think I just liked that, and I was a little bit obsessed with kind of admit this, I was a little bit obsessed with Nashville, the TV show, and I kind of got into that country road. I love that new type of country rock. I mean, I used to love the Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, but I really liked the whole new type stuff that they were putting out. So I think my head was all over the place with that kind of music, and I just wanted to release. I always wanted to do a duet, and that kind of style came to mind. And so, yeah, it kind of worked. And then, but 2019, I wasn't feeling the music thing anymore. So I wanted to do something else. So my sister actually suggested voiceovers, and kind of resonated with me. And that is what I'm doing now. As well as the singing, don't get me wrong, I'm still doing the singing, but
I was going to say,
as well.
Can someone commission a voiceover of a song?
Yeah, they can. Well, it's funny because doing the voiceover, they wanted, so somebody was working for the university and she wanted a jingle for her podcast. So it was kind of like a voiceover, but I had to create a melody. So it was kind of using all of my skills and all of my talents already, as well as the voiceover as well. So,
So are you more like just reading speeches, or like eclectic, strange voices too, voiceover?
Yeah, it's kind of eclectic. So it's not, you don't just read. I think a lot of people have the misconception about voiceovers. You just read it, but it's not. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's more acting than not, because you have to be pretending to be somebody else, somebody who wants a Hoover or who wants a car. Or I can do children's voices. So I've done a few animations, pretend to be an 8-year-old girl and do like children's sounds and things like that. So it's quite diverse. And yeah, a lot of acting goes into it.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. I mean, unless you're like voiceover Pete, who's known for just being straight and saying whatever you say,
right?
But like that guy's just a legend of himself.
I think, I think some people just have that voice where they just do not have to do anything, and then they just speak, and people just love it. I mean, I'm sure I have that voice. I don't know, I'm going to put myself down. I'm sure I have that voice
somewhere. I've left it in a drawer somewhere.
Exactly.
So I take it then, especially 2020 and 2021, you've been busy with a lot of voiceover requests.
Well, it kind of came at a good time, because I built a little studio from home towards the end of 2019. And then obviously 2020 hit. It was the pandemic. And I was just like, gosh, that was quite good of me, wasn't it? Quite good foresight to actually think of to do that, because obviously the gigs were gone. Nobody was performing. Everyone had to remain at home. And so, yeah, actually the expansion of this whole online networking really opened up a lot of doors. And America, I do a lot of business with America, and it's just been really good from that perspective. So as well as obviously the bad stuff, but that was the good stuff that came out of it. Yeah.
No, and now you're established, and that's great. Because I hear like voiceover actors who try to actually break it in barely make maybe like $5 a gig. And they maybe only get like 2 or 3 gigs a day.
Right.
I'm assuming you're actually making a better income than that.
It is hard. I am, but it is hard. I mean, it's like freelance, so it's not constant. And it's I do a lot of auditions per day. So I do work. But it was easier during the pandemic from that level because I didn't have a life. So I was able to just do like auditions constantly. I'll do 20, 40, up to 40 auditions a day. But obviously like things opening up and I can't do that many because I've got other commitments. So unfortunately, that's why I was like, oh no, things are opening up. So that was the downside to, the vaccination program.
Yeah. But I want to say you guys have handled it personally a little better than us in America. I think I'm not on your side though.
I guess we have because of the vaccination, I guess. Although we can't make people have the vaccination because we are a democracy. I know there are countries who like the vaccination is mandatory. In the US, I think because you're such a really large country and your different states have different rules. And I think this is what we're seeing, isn't it? Every state has a different perception on it. One state, I know Florida, they're not too big on
Gonna do whatever
wearing
the hell they
masks.
feel like. They're like, welcome to Florida.
From Florida, yeah, they're not too big on the vaccination stuff, I guess, or the mask.
I was in Florida, Texas, and one other place. It's just like, yeah, if you go there, you're probably gonna get COVID.
Yeah, well, take a chance, I guess. Then,
right? I want to say, what's his Joe Rogan went to Florida and he got it, and he's like, oh, it's okay. I knew going there. You're crazy.
it is. Well, you're playing roulette, really. I mean, there are, probably a large percentage where it's just like the flu, or you just feel ill for a couple of days. But then there are that few that obviously have died from it, and that was the worrying thing, isn't it? Throughout all of this, it's like you don't know because it started with only if you had like breathing problems or if you're predisposition to those kind of a certain illness, but now it's affecting actually people that don't even know that they've been ill and they've died from it. I know a couple of people, my sister's friends, who have actually died from it. They're young, fairly young, and they've never known that they've had any illness to warrant, the severity of it. So Russian roulette.
It really is. Like I got it COVID back in December 2020.
Oh,
and yeah, it was a job site. This whole crew came in and they knew the big guy in charge. He's gone now, so I can talk shit about him. But he knew they were all infected, and he just sent them in anyways. And took out like half the store. And one of the guys that's still working there, his mom, she was already on the out. She had kind of already like 6 months, and then COVID kind of just sped it up to 2 weeks. So that's where he's like, COVID didn't necessarily kill her. He just like, it kind of sped it up. She was dying anyways. I'm like, you're handling your grief real well.
Gosh, that's one way of looking at it.
I was like, you're handling your grief real well. But no, and that was just one thing. That's what started me on this is like, I was literally on the floor just like shaking because I couldn't move. And the COVID was just like ramping through me. I thought it was a really bad flu. And I just decided once I came to and was recovered over all that, I said, no, I'm never going to be in that situation again. I'm going to figure out how to get out. So I don't have to literally sacrifice my life for some other one's profits.
So what happened after that?
Oh, I started the show and everything once I could actually get up and move. It was like a marathon in my bed. You can see it. You guys won't. To get up from there to the other end is like 10 feet to my restroom. Felt like I ran a marathon.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just sitting here going, and my dad and I were both sick. And me being me, I looked at him. I'm like, I could see where people die from this, but we're tough son of bitches to kill. So,
oh gosh, I think that's the one of the side effects that I know some people are still like long COVID. They're still feeling breathless. They can't walk. They're so it is quite. It's left people worse off than before they had it.
I know this one guy, he lost his taste back in early 2021. He still doesn't have it back. He thinks it's he thinks it's gone forever. It's been more than a year now.
Oh my gosh. Is there nothing nobody can do?
Not that we know of. And I told him like, wait, you can't even taste like a watermelon biting into it? And he's like, I can feel the texture. I can't taste the sugar.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, that is a terrible life to live.
That is. It's probably more common now. They're discovering other side effects as well, I think, from COVID. So we'll probably see a lot more.
Probably. So I want to say, let's get off the COVID depressing train. So tell me a little about your younger self. You touched on it when you were 6. You also mentioned in your bio earlier where we met on the site that you had a condition when you were younger.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
do.
yeah. So what happened when I was 1, I had cataract, and so then both the lenses were removed and they were never put back because I was so small, and obviously the eyes grow. So I've had to wear glasses, like big lenses, until probably I was about 10, and I think I was one of the first children to have contact lenses, actually. But what made it even more difficult was at the age of 4, I was diagnosed with sensory neuropathy type 2, which means, I mean, talking about the taste, not being able to feel the taste, I can't feel anywhere on my body. And the only place I can feel is in my mouth, which is lucky because then I don't burn myself. But I can't feel feathers on my skin, and I can't feel when I've hurt myself. So the only time that I'd know or notice was when I see the blood coming out, or if it got infected. And then I knew it was really, really bad. So that was, I don't know if it's related to the cataracts because it's all to do with nerves. I'm not sure. They never put an association down to it. But with the condition, the sensory neuropathy type 2, it did kind of develop that I also had osteoarthritis, which got quite bad at a young age. And then because of that, it affected my spine. So it affected my growth. So by the age of 11, I stopped growing, and I was small anyway. So that wasn't too great. Yeah. So all in all, it's been a tricky life.
But it's been a good life, though.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
The hesitation.
No, it has.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. No. It has. I mean, unfortunately, you kind of remember the bad stuff, don't you? And
Yeah.
but I was making myself remember the good stuff. It has been a lot of good stuff. I mean, the negativity stands out. You remember that more. So it is a little bit harder to go back and pick up the good stuff. But I've tried to do that and not focus on the bad stuff. But it just means that every day is a challenge. Every day has been a challenge.
So I'm just curious because I didn't have anything to the severity of you. I was more like misdiagnosed and was put on heavy meds at a young age.
Oh.
So I was like, well, a young 6-year-old, I'm still learning my emotions, and I'm in a doctor, so I'm really scared. And then I go in and I'm like, ooh, happy, like Golden Globes, and in the corner crying because there's a man skewering a pig at you. So it's like the doctor, because I was hooting and hollering in the lobby, like, I don't want to be here. It's like, oh, he's just bipolar and schizophrenic. Just here's some meds, send him on his way.
No. At the age of 6?
Like 6 or 8 range. That part I don't remember. It's probably more 8, but yeah. And then pretty much I was on that for like 18 years. And so for me, it was really hard to talk to people because I was super slow. Like I'm processing slow, but super emotional. And then there was always a weird third one. So it was either I was on a stimulant or this. So for me, just in general, talking to people, I got really used to being alone in the corner, being the awkward one. And that's what I'm thinking. It's a very similar situation for you.
Yeah, I was shy. I was I was quite shy. I do like my own company. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a sociable person, but then there's times where I just do like to be by myself. I think the fact that I've got 2 older sisters was a good thing because it brought me out of myself. They wouldn't really let me be by myself for too long when I was younger. That probably did help me. Otherwise, I don't know. It helped me to come out with myself as well. And yeah. So I have to be grateful for that, for both of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Family is very important, especially in that arena. So I'm curious, what was it? You said you were classically trained in singing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was the process of that? What were some of the keystones leading up to that?
So as a young person, your vocal cords are not, they haven't reached their full potential.
Yeah.
So being classically trained, it's not actually doing the exercises and things, because I actually don't agree that young kids should be trained like that. But what I used to do was, we had a music teacher, so I just used to sing a lot, and she would just watch and like kind of correct. But I started training properly probably when I was about 12, 13. Okay. And then I studied for my grade 5 and then my grade 8. I needed my grade 8 to get into music college, so I had to do it before I turned 18. So actually, I think I did it just as I turned 18, my grade 8 singing, which enabled me then to go to music college. But everything needs to kind of come come at stages, I think, especially music. And I think that you need to kind of develop at your own pace. Although I think the younger you start, probably the more beneficial it might be, especially for like musical instruments, 5 or 6. I know people think that's too young, but I don't think that that's actually too young, especially on the piano.
If they can hold the instrument, it's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as long as they've got like maybe a 10-minute attention span, you can do something within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to start training kids when they're young. That's my thought.
There we go. So this is more just me kind of putting 2 and 2 together. So I take it with all the stuff that was going on, especially your sister's helping you. It was them being a little shyer than most. It was harder to interact with people, especially boys.
Yeah, and I went to a private school, so we only had a small amount of diverse people there. So yeah, I wasn't used to talking to boys. Absolutely, my sister was really like, go to the pub, and I was 15, and I was like, no, I don't want to go to the pub. But it helped at the age of 16 that I went to a tertiary college, which means like an open college. It was Sinha College, and then there was just an array of different people and loads of boys and different girls, and boys with long hair. I mean, when I went to private school, we all had to have the boys had to have it cut short. Yeah, no ear piercing, no tattoos. Went to sixth form college, different people of all sorts, lengths of hair, tattoos, piercings. So then it was good to kind of get me started. I don't think I was really comfortable probably until I went to university. Then I was at music college. There were just predominantly boys, predominantly men. So I had to get used to it very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, very fast, because there was no other choice, no other option. So that was actually good for me socially.
Yes. So then, was it, especially because you touched on it, it's the longer hair and the tattoos. Was that because it was new to you? Where you're like, ooh, that's interesting, I want to talk to them, kind of thing?
I was quite shy, so I used to probably wait till people would talk to me until a certain point. It was I liked it. It was diverse. I like the fact that they had long hair. I'm not sure that I saw that as future husband material, because kind of, I don't know why, you get this perception. I've grown up because obviously I had so many disabilities, and I used to watch a lot of TV, and I used to watch a lot of American TV and a lot of American soap operas. So I used to think kind of romance was like that. And I got very disappointed when, music didn't just appear when you're talking to a boy, or, no candles lit up. And I was like, no, this is not the way it's supposed to be.
No.
I know. So reality was a little bit of a letdown after all of that, unfortunately. No soap operas for children. That's what I said.
No.
No.
Unless it's like those Korean or Japanese ones where it's just like over the top. That it's like, okay, just don't kill someone.
I think I used to watch, I don't know if you remember, Monkey. It was called Monkey. And it was dubbed. It was hilarious. I think it was Japanese. I think they did an Australian version now. It's on Netflix. But
okay, I'll have to look that up.
Oh, it was brilliant. I think it was back in the 70s. They did reruns, like in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, that was good.
It was just, the reason I bring up that one is like, me and my sister, we were young. My parents went out for a drive. So this is back when it was cable TV. So we had to like actually punch in different channels. We hit a random one. We thought it was the Sci-Fi channel, and it was like the Korean soap opera. And we're sitting here going, oh, like full on, like this lady's on a crutch and beating this person, and my sister's acting like, how dare you sleep with him? You sleep with the dog.
Oh, I never watched that.
No, it was just we're like kids, and then it was just funny because my mom comes home and like looks like, weren't you guys gonna like watch Star Trek? And we're like, this is so much better. We're acting with them. But yeah, I would say I heard on one of your episodes you're really into sci-fi.
I am. I love sci-fi. I'm a bit of a geek, but that's what happened when I watched too much TV. But I have to say, I grew up in the 80s, and the 80s, I think they were brainwashing. The TV was brainwashing kids, because my favorite sci-fi, or the first one I used to watch, was Quantum Leap. I used to love.
I watched reruns with my parents before we lost the package. That one's awesome.
It was all, and it was quite ahead of its time.
It really was
when it came out. And then you had things like X-Files, you had The Twilight Zone, you had The Outer Limits. I used to watch all of them. Star Trek, Star Wars. Literally, I was a sci-fi geek. I used to like vampires and like The Godfather, and that's not sci-fi, but I just used to love The Godfather. But yeah, I do like sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah, because I grew up watching the old school 70s Star Wars. So mine was like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I just grew up and it was just funny. At a certain point when I got older, I'm like, that guy in the corner is a puppet. And my parents are like, yeah, it's the 70s. They didn't have CGI back then. I'm like, I can see the stick. It's a really bad puppet.
Oh no.
It was just one of those. I'm like, oh man. But yeah,
Oh.
I loved it. Was just like the one little like scruffy little guy and he runs off kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was just one of those sat there and I've watched it so many times. I'm like, I never saw the stick before.
Oh, but something nice about a stick. I don't know, something nice about an actual puppet. I know obviously it's really high tech now, and it's great that they've got all of these things, but I don't know.
Mandalorian is like off the wall good.
Yeah, I do like that. I got Disney just for that. Just for the Mandalorian.
Same. I want to say after this call, I'm gonna like put on an episode or two and just watch that.
Now they got a new one, isn't it? I can't remember what it's called now.
Yeah, I think it's the Boba Fett one.
That's it. I've got to see that. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to continue the Mandalorian after the actor got in all that trouble.
Oh yeah. Maybe they just put a new one. They always do.
Well, yeah, just never let him take off his mask.
Exactly.
It's still him. You're fine.
Uh,
I know, right? I was like, I'm just getting into it. I'm like, oh man, I can't. There's not going to be a third.
Well, maybe they'll like change the story or make it on another Mandalorian. I don't know. They always seem
Disney. They have an army of writers and animators. They'll figure it out.
Exactly. Or maybe they'll go into another universe or another time, like another, like they're doing with Spider-Man and all those metaverses that they've got going on right now. So all their superheroes, isn't it? Have you seen the latest Spider-Man?
No, that's one actually someone told me like you need to go see it.
Very good. It is really good. Yeah.
Then I'll skip Mandalorian. I'll go do that instead.
Oh yeah.
But so okay, then I take it then you're what's your Marvel universe take?
I'm not I've only just got into the Marvel because I love Spider-Man is my ultimate. I love Spider-Man.
Okay.
So the rest I'm not too sure about. I have just recently watched Doctor Strange, which I love.
Okay.
I did like Doctor Strange. The rest I'm not up on, so I can't really comment. I have watched Thor. I'm not too keen on Iron Man. Wonder Woman. I'm gonna have to watch them all because they're all on Disney Plus, isn't it? So I'm gonna have to watch them all in order. So I just have to see what order they're in. After watching Spider-Man, I did that just after Christmas. I was really like determined. And that's when I watched Doctor Strange, and I was like, right, I'm gonna watch all of them, but I just haven't had time yet. But I will watch all of them in the order. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm gonna say I just followed it because it was a good movie, but for me, the Avengers Endgame series, like the first two were really good, but personally, at least the last one, it feels like they overhyped it on the second one and it kind of just fell flat. At least from my perspective. Probably gonna hear it on Twitter, like, you don't understand.
Have you watched that other one? What is that series? Loki. That's it. I love that.
Oh no, I haven't. I didn't know that was out yet. I thought it was still
coming. Yeah. No. That first season is already out. I'm not sure about season 2. That was last year. Season 1 was out last year.
Okay. Well, then I'm definitely gonna have to. I got a whole list going here now.
You do.
So for you, I'm like trying to think of a question as we're going.
Right.
It's the for music on the big stuff. So like all this the 80s music with like Quantum Leap and all that. Do you think that inspired you for your path down music?
Probably. I mean, it's all weird stuff, isn't it? So my brain is a little bit odd. I guess my first album, if anybody listens to it, they'll be like, what planet is she actually on? Because it's just stuff that comes out of my thoughts. And I just put everything that, onto the album because it was more for me than for anybody else. I did put it out because I thought, why not? But so yeah, no, it did. Absolutely. You have to have a bit of an outlandish viewpoint, I think, or thought process to be a musician. Otherwise, you're not going to come up with anything creative. So I think you have to be a particular mindset. I don't know. I mean, I've never met anybody who's just like normal, so to speak, who's a musician. There's always something quirky about them. Just in general, actually, just people in general. I don't think I've met any boring, No, I have. Don't get me wrong. I have met boring people, but A lot of musicians and creative people are far from boring.
I would say, and if anything, they could be like resemblance of normal, but to stand out, they intentionally act interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people like tend to put it on. So they actually probably are not boring, but they tend to be a bit more outlandish and say outlandish things when they don't really believe it, just so to make them appear like they're mad or insane, or like people take notice of them. It's like random names that people come out with. Why do they do that? It's just to make themselves stand apart from the rest. So a lot of people, make their personality try to be out there when people like me are just out there anyway. I don't really even have to try and be like that.
Yeah, it's like we're not trying to court everyone's attention. We just want our select few.
Exactly. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do anything, really. It's just who I am.
Yeah, I remember I went to a concert back in 2013. Yeah, I was young. It was 2013. I was just out of high school. And when there was an underground band, they're pretty mainstream now, at least in California. I don't know about anywhere else. It's Silverstein.
No, I haven't heard of them.
They were a indie underground band, but at least here in California, they're pretty well known.
Yeah.
And it was just funny because I was like diehard. I was listening to them, but I never saw the like band members ever, like their faces. I just knew their music. So it was at the Warped Tour, they were supposed to come, and I was waiting just for that concert, and it was like 2 hours beforehand. And I'm walking, this guy in a freaking like vest with like a garter and everything, and like all like steampunked out, is trying to go to the restroom. And I just shoulder checked him because I was like, I don't back out on chicken kind of thing. So I took him out, and he's like cussing me out. I'm like, well, you and your fucking leotard bullshit. And I walked away. Come to find out, that was the lead singer.
No way.
And I went to the band afterwards and signed it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I completely ruined his day. Like, he was emotionally gone. He had to put it on for the show. So when he saw me when I was getting signed, the lead guitarist like, hey, that's that jerk that got your butt all hard and shit. Oh, but I'm sorry.
Never forget you.
Oh, they probably will never forget me.
No.
And
way to make it worse. So
I had him sign everything. I'm like, hey, sorry, like you weren't moving, and I'm not gonna move, kind of thing. So like it was the lead singer and the main guitarist got the signature. I got the whole band. I actually have it like on a bandana they gave me.
Yeah.
And the drummer's like, no, dude, seriously, you like ruined his day as he's signing my thing. I'm like, cool. Like us, like he'll remember me.
He will remember you. Well done.
So, but yeah, it's just like the outlandish thing that would definitely play into it.
Yeah.
But have you done anything like that to help your singing career, or is you're just being yourself and that's it?
No, I don't think I have really. I think it's just my person. If I have, then I don't know. But I haven't gone out of my way yet to be like that. No.
I only say, especially being a musician and seeing that, do you think the whole intentionally causing controversy for attention is a good tactic, or is it more fading than anything else?
I think if you don't care, then fine, do it. I think whatever feels right to you. If you can live with the consequences of what you're doing, and it doesn't, I mean, I know a lot of people think that if you're out there, then you're kind of a target, isn't it, for abuse, and especially on Twitter and social media. But whenever I used to have a lot of like dislikes on my YouTube videos, and there's a lot of people that used to be mean and say mean things, and I didn't know why, because I thought that I was a likable person. I was like, why are people, doing this? And then I kind of had to learn that people are going to do that no matter what. People, are going to dislike you. Not everyone's going to like you. They're going to say hateful things, and you're just going to have to delete them from your brain because not all people are nice. So it's just learning to accept that. And if you can, go for it. If you can't, probably not the best tactic to use.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be like a public figure, or in like your case, a singer or a podcaster, voiceover person. That's like the biggest advice my grandfather gave me at a young age is, well, he's like one of those collected characters in of himself. He was sitting there drinking like his 5th or 6th beer, and he kind of like turns to me. He's like, Josh. I'm like, yeah. He's like, come here. I'm like, okay. And he's like, if you ever have trouble with people, you're never going to make them happy. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, and he's like, focus on them. And if you piss off people, that's fine. But don't piss off the world and you're good to go. And I'm like, okay.
Good advice.
And it was just one of those at a young age that's kind of stuck. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to make everyone happy. Not everyone's going to be nice to you, but try not to piss off everyone in the world and you're good to go.
That's all you can do.
Pretty much. But yeah, that's like for me, I joke with this show. It's like, oh, I really hope like eventually there's some people yelling at me that I'm doing a terrible job, because then I air quote no, I'm like I'm somewhere in the world. But it's like at the same time, I'm like, I do like my isolation. I like being the shy, don't look at me kind of thing.
Well, I think maybe this pandemic is good because it's got a lot of shy people out there and doing podcasts, isn't it? And putting themselves, I guess, making themselves open. You can only do, what you can do. And if you're being yourself and if you truly believe in what you're doing, then other people shouldn't bother you. No. It doesn't matter what people say. Everyone's going to dislike you at some point, as you said. So, you can't do anything about it. And it's not your concern. So
exactly. So I'm curious, how before COVID, were you traveling around the world like performing, or was it more local?
It's because I'm not really mobile, so it was local. This is the problem. I think if I hadn't had all these disabilities, and I'm not using it as an excuse because I've tried to do, especially with social media and YouTube, it's opened up my world a lot when I was younger. But I think I kind of got anxious a lot, and I know that things will work themselves out eventually, but then having to work them out myself took a lot. So I did have the opportunity to travel a lot, but I turned it down, and I kind of focused on what I could do practically that didn't cause a lot of stress in my brain, and it didn't freak me out. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have done anything, going, no, I just want to hide in front of the duvet, underneath the duvet, because it took a lot to do everything. But to be honest with you, it's like a lot of people, I know Swansea is a little bit of people don't really know where it is, but actually it's where Catherine Zeta-Jones, came from, and Anthony Hopkins, Wales, Anthony Hopkins, and we've got a lot of Welsh stars that have come from here. So a lot of people kind of come here to play. So I did quite a few interviews, and I got to interview Clint Eastwood's son, Kyle Eastwood, because he came to play here. I know, so things like that. And I got to interview a lot of people from Ronnie Scott's, the musicians, and I actually got to sing with a lot of them because they toured from here. And so even though I've been in my small little world, it's been quite open because a lot of international people have come here. So I can't say that, I'm in a bubble. My bubble is kind of grown now. Even though I haven't, I do want to travel now that COVID is opened up. I've been to a lot of places. I haven't been to America yet. That's one place that I do want to go. So I put it on my list. For the future. Definitely.
I would say, don't go to Texas or Florida right now.
No, not right now. I do want to go to Florida, but not right now.
It is pretty cool, especially like the Ontario area. I flew probably around 13 or 14, 2013 or 14, when they just opened the Harry Potter world over there.
Oh, wow.
And it was just funny. We were just there, and we went during 110-degree heat wave.
Oh, wow.
And in Florida, it's like 70% humidity, but there's no rain at all. So like you take a shower, instantly you're sweating again. But
they have different weathers out there, though. And now we're hitting a cold period, isn't it? It's it gets hot and then it gets cold at night. So I think I don't know, maybe East, like April time might be a good time to go to Florida, or Christmas time.
Maybe
might be a good time.
But it was really funny when we were there. The lady was like driving us around, like stereotypical. All right, everybody, welcome to the so hotel. We're gonna mind the water, and we're like, okay, and we're like, why would we be worried about the water? They're like, oh, the gators live in there, and they'll probably eat you. And they just ate a kid yesterday, and she's like, okay, as we continue, and I'm like, wait a minute. And we know literally as we're driving, and she's like, oh, also mind the pool too. They like the pool, even though it's chlorinated. And as she says that, we look and there's this big old lizard at the bottom, and we're like, oh, welcome to Florida, kind of thing.
Yeah, they do have some strange animals that live.
But yeah, it was fun, and especially the experience. They had a lot of voice actors like live acting.
Mm.
Well, actually, it would just be actors, but
Yeah.
like in there going around. But it was just like at a young age, I'm like, this is so cool. Even though that looks clearly nothing like Harry Potter from the movie, this is fun.
Well, no, it's not going to be Daniel Radcliffe, unfortunately, but
That would be cool though.
that would be very cool. Yeah. Although look a lot older, so he probably wouldn't resemble it, would he?
It would look more like the father. Like, why does it look like Harry all grown up?
Exactly.
So for in your area,
Mm.
well, you mentioned like the pub and going there, or was there like a little like hole in the wall place that was like where you got your roots and you realized, oh, I can do this when you
Yeah,
were
it was.
performing?
Yeah, what happened was when I was 16, so I made a group of friends when I went to Sinha College, and we started going to this place called Uplands Tavern, which was just a normal pub, but they used to have open mic nights every Monday. So I used to go down and my friends used to come with me, and I'd probably sing like the same songs every week. But that's when I started like singing with live musicians. And then we did a lot of things in college, music wise. It was a great time that I went there. There's a lot of musicians, and the music department was brilliant at that time. So, and I think it's great for if you want to be an upcoming singer. It's great practice to perform with live musicians. I know a lot of singers tend to have a tendency to go with backing tracks to perform, but I say if you can go with live musicians, because it kind of makes you aware of what's going on around you. Whereas with backing tracks, you learn what's going on, and you're stuck in your own. You're not. It doesn't account for like noise, and it doesn't account for when things go wrong. So the backing track can get stuck. Whereas with live musicians, they can go with you, and even if you go wrong, they can they can do it wrong with you and go to the next level. And that's what I loved about performing with other musicians. That was my favorite part, is that you're not on your own up there on stage, and you have other people to work with. And I love the interaction of performing live. And I do miss that, actually. I haven't done that for quite some time. I would like to get back to that.
I'll say, sounds like we're gonna have to like book you an event.
I know, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. So your YouTube, you were doing it at like 16, right? Or were you doing it even younger?
Oh, what, sorry?
For YouTube, what age range were you doing it at?
Well, YouTube came. What did I do? When did I start? I think I started putting things on in 2009, 2008,
Oh wow, like when it was
2009.
like first starting.
When it first started. So I had to learn, because back then we didn't have, mobile cameras or videos that went straight to upload. So I think I had to buy a ready to use YouTube video that uploaded straight, because I remember downloading the software that you had to convert, and I found it really difficult. I had to get one of my friends, and it took such a long time. And then I went to the store, and I just bought a little camera, which did it all for you. So that's why I think that's 2009. I probably started later than other people that were doing it around my time. But
I want to say, but that's actually really early adoption. I would say, especially considering the time frame now.
Yeah, but Facebook came first, didn't it? So Facebook, I wasn't on the ball when Facebook. I had MySpace. So I started with MySpace. I know. And then, oh God, going back there, that was dreadful. And then we kind of progressed to Facebook. I think I started Facebook in 2008, maybe 2007, 2008. And then Twitter, I didn't get onto that until 2011, 2012.
I want to say it was like 2011, 2012 is when it was more mainstream adoption. Because even then it was more like, oh, there's actually a celebrity posting interesting stuff on Twitter. We should probably download it just to see that.
Right, yeah. But I didn't really see the point of Twitter, because it was only the celebrities that would have the following. So it didn't really appeal to me. Whereas Facebook, it was just my friends. So I would just do my friends. I didn't really grasp social media probably until much later than I should have. But it's lucky for people, starting out now. You've got TikTok and everything that people go viral, don't even trying. You can post videos of pets and babies be liking and go viral, which I think is quite funny.
It is. I actually tried doing like the whole TikTok thing, and it was really funny. I post my face, nothing. I post those fish though, I get like 10,000 views within an hour, and I'm like, oh, so I don't know how there's 10,000 people who like fish, but
algorithm. It's all in the
Right.
algorithm of the apps. It's like Facebook. It's like it got to that stage where nobody was looking at the feeds because the algorithm wasn't letting them. So it's a lot to, a lot to do with the apps. And people feel bad about themselves going, nobody's looking at their stuff, but it's not them. It's the app.
it really is. And that was the one thing I actually had an author on, and she was saying how like, oh, book TikTok is dead now. The algorithm won't promote us. And I'm like, yes and no. There are always workarounds, but you can't just keep posting book content now.
No.
I said, now you might have to actually do those trendy dances kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. I think you have to vary it up. Although they do say stick to the same subject or something. If you want a following, to gain your following, stick to kind of on the same line. And then, once you've got your following, you can be diverse, I guess. But I don't know. I am on TikTok. I haven't posted in a while, but I was starting to get into it. And then I'm like, oh, so you have to be constant. It's like Instagram. You have to be constant. Otherwise you lose the momentum and people don't seem interested. So it's hard. If you've got time, I always wonder how people are always on social media. And I'm like, do you not work or do you not actually have a life?
Have like an actual passion in life?
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole time they're just on social media all the time. So I do wonder about how they do it, how they keep that up.
I am too, because like a few of my coworkers at the current site I'm at, they're on like YouTube and Instagram for 4 or 5 hours a day collectively, and I'm like, that's a lot. I'm like sitting there going, I could like interview at least 2 people during that, edit it, and watch a video on how to do whatever skill. I'm like, you just watching people and feeling sad for yourself. I don't like that.
Well, I think probably there's reason, and they probably got paid for doing it, probably. About amount of time they spend on there. But I don't know. No.
They're just an average Joe. If anything, they're paying the other people while watching the ads.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, that's one thing. I'm starting to hear the similarities. So, especially with you, like I see social media as a powerful tool, but it's one of those like the algorithms. You got to know the game, or you're gonna get left behind. I'm pretty sure that's where you're sending to.
Oh yeah, it's the same. And the same with YouTube. People think, oh my God, you just got to post a video and you're going to get famous. And that is not the case. They have people behind them to push the video. You got adverts. So people don't become stars overnight. That's not the way it works. Yet people will have you believe that's the way it works. So it makes people feel depressed that when they post something that they're singing, it's not getting 10,000 views. They haven't gone viral overnight. And this is the misconception. And I think actually that's quite bad for people's mental health. I think maybe the good thing about the pandemic was it was opening up a level playing field where a lot more people were becoming recognized. So I think that's quite good. But yeah, social media has its ups but it also has its downs. And I think you have to recognize that along with, it being a positive thing as well.
Oh, 100%. Like when I started the podcast, it was one of those, I knew like, unless I'm going to say just crazy blasphemous stuff, I'm not going to get a lot of downloads. So I'm like, I'm not going to go down that route. And one of my coworkers who listens to it, he's like, oh, you must be getting at least like 600-700 downloads. And I'm like, I was first starting I'm lucky if I get 6.
Aww.
Now it's much more, but it's just one of those, he's sitting there going like, what? You're not making Joe Rogan money? I'm like, dude, that guy's got through so much shit. How am I supposed to make that much money? Like, how am I going to deal with all that controversy too?
Oh, I don't know. But you can get sponsors in. You probably could make all that money, but not being like out there, but like getting sponsors that resonate with what you do, and the message that you want to put out there.
Oh yeah. And I've had a few people reach out too, and I'm like, oh, okay. I actually had to turn one down. It was like $10,000 an ad, but it was like this online gambling site. And I literally just wrote back. I'm like, no, my whole thing is helping my younger self, and I'm not going to give my younger self a gambling addiction for $10,000. And the guy's like, that's noble. Many
people would for $10,000.
And he's like, that's noble. How about 100K instead? And I'm like, no.
Really? Okay.
And he's like, I can't go past 100K. I'm like, well, now I know your ceiling too.
But yeah, that down? Wow.
I turned it down. I'm like, no, I'm not going to get, because I know myself. I have an addictive personality. If a younger, I would feel bad because it's really easy to fake stuff on the internet.
Yeah, it is.
Should you? Probably not. But like, you could make a fake account, say you're 18 and have a gambling addiction. There you go.
But then you do need a credit card for online for
Kids
I
nowadays are
don't,
so smart. They just go to mom's
yeah.
purse, take it, and they punch
Yeah,
in
true.
everything.
That is true. That is true.
I'm gonna say that's this terrifying thing I saw once.
Mm.
A toddler that didn't know how to walk was operating an iPad perfectly, though.
Kids are very smart. I mean,
And I'm
my
just
three,
sitting there
yeah.
going like, you can't walk, but you can get into the browser, bypass your mom's whatever, and this. And I'm like, man, are we going down a good path?
I remember my 2-year-old nephew, well, 2 at the time, he unlocked my phone, he got my Facebook password, and when I was starting messaging people, and he was 2 years old, I was like, hang on a minute. How on earth? It was scary.
It really was. Like my younger cousin, he's in Idaho right now. And it was one of those, because what's the awkward kid? So I was very native on the computers were more my friend than humans. And so he's talking like Fortnite and all that. And I sat there, and the way he phrased it, I'm like, you figured out how to hack your phone, didn't you? He's like, yeah, I did. I'm like,
Wow.
You're like, what, under 10? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, how? I'm like 20 something. I don't even know how to like barely install an APK on my phone.
I have no idea.
And that's where he's like, oh, I watched this YouTube video, followed this and this and this. And I'm like, hey, just don't hack my phone. We're good to go.
Gosh. YouTube is the source for everything. I would say if you don't know how to do something, just YouTube it and just follow the instructions. I've done a lot of things with YouTube instructional videos.
Seriously, same here. Yeah. I'm teaching myself how to do trading.
Oh wow!
And one of those, I just randomly typed in YouTube. I'm like, no one's gonna be like put up this boring topic on YouTube. It's all about cat videos and good-looking girls and singing. Nope, there was a whole legion of people, and that's where I learned a lot of my tricks. And I'm like, interesting. I'm like, you could technically make a career off anything on YouTube, but you might not get the views like everyone else does, though.
No, we can start. That's how it starts, and then you might get the views.
Well, like this one guy named Graham Stephan, I believe it is. He just started off as like this real estate guy, edgy and yelling and cursing you out, like, go out there, buy your house, kind of thing. The free real estate. And now, like, he realizes with YouTube, he's like, okay, I can't cuss or do half that stuff anymore. So it's like millionaire reacts to kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, when I was first learning, it was interesting, but now I'm like, he's totally just pandering to the algorithm. I'm good.
It is. You have to be a computer whiz to get your way around, and you have to play the game. If you can study, it's like roulette, actually. If you can study the game or blackjack, then you'll probably be a winner. But you have to study it.
Yeah, it has to become you, essentially.
Yep.
I'm just curious, how long do I got you for?
What's the time? Another few minutes.
Another few minutes. I want to say that this has been awesome. I'm like sitting here going, we're probably going to go for 2 hours, and she has other meetings.
Yeah, I do.
Then actually, I'll wrap it up real quick. I got 3 going out questions for you.
Okay.
So first one, other than singing, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during these COVID times?
Oh gosh, I'm a big binger. Netflix, Amazon, anything. So if there's a series out there, I will binge it. I'm quite behind actually. I'm just watching a series called Big Love, which is about polygamy in America and Utah. And I've literally just watched. Well, I'm on my end of the 4th season. I've only been like a week, and there's been like 10 and 12 episodes. So I've been just binging on Netflix and yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Interesting. So someone aspiring to be like you, an artist, a voiceover, what are some tips, tricks, or advice you give them to start down that path?
Do your research. As I said, Google is great and YouTube is amazing. I mean, I would also say if you just want to get into it, just do like those YouTube vocal techniques and it will really help you out. It's really not just like reading. I have to emphasize that a lot. There's a lot of technique that goes into it. So just learn it. I'm sure anybody can, really. Yeah. So go and just do it. Throw yourself into it.
And then where can everyone contact you at?
Well, I have a website at amysinha.com. That's SINHA. Or I'm on social media. Just come say hi. Give me a message. Yeah.
Awesome. She has an awesome social media, by the way, everyone. Definitely check her out.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome and see you next time.